through 8, and it says, to everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under the heavens, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together, and a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to get and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to cast away, a time to render and a time to sow, a time to be silent and a time to speak, and a time to love and a time to hate, a time to war and a time of peace. And one of which picture real quickly, and it says, this one please. Well, that's, don't worry, I missed the scripture I want to read anyway. Let us pray. Will you join me in prayer, please? Thank you. Thank you, Lord. Heavenly Father, as we gather here on behalf of Jerome Johnson, Father, we lift him up before you. We thank you for his life. We thank you for the grace that he's left among all so many friends who have left such have good memories of him as he departed in this day, Lord. We give you thanks and praise for his life and everything that he has done on the earth, Father. As he gets within, we expect this tomorrow. Thank you, Jesus, for his life together in remembrance of his soul and his life. In your garden, in Jesus' name, we give praise, thanks, and honor. Amen. Amen.
I'll go first because I got to spend the last few days. He was happy. I'll say that much. My dad, I don't know childhood. I know he suffered a lot, but he was always a positive spirit. Always a positive spirit for anyone he touched, right? And he found a lot of peace in the last couple of years. I'll say that much. Through all the things he went through, all the things that he struggled with, he got to gain a lot of peace before the end of his life. And for me, not being able to spend a lot of time with him growing up, because we were kind of separated for some time, it was beautiful to see that, and it was beautiful to be able to get that quality time with him before he passed. And for me, it was a joyous experience. I'll say that much. It wasn't sad. Because I got that time, because I saw him achieve so much peace before the end, that it was a very touching and not sad at all experience for me. It was a very good experience. He was a very positive man. He taught me a lot about staying positive, no matter what, right? Being joyful, being that, like, present yourself as a joyful person, no matter what you're going through. So, yeah, that's what I have. Thank you. Thank you again for coming.
It's kind of funny. People point to me often to say something in my family. We were living right across the street. My folks lived right across the street from Jerome. And Jerome was a wonderful neighbor. I don't know how well we all knew him, but one thing about Jerome is you couldn't help but smile when you were with him. It was something about his countenance, something about his heart, and you just couldn't help but smile. He brought such joy to the environment, to the atmosphere, to the conversation, and he's always lifting people up. And we had as my dad was suffering years ago from Parkinson's, and Jerome being next door with Mom, there was always a comfort knowing he was close. And he always kept an eye. He'd come over and help rake leaves from time to time. He'd just be there at moment's notice just to bring it, once again, joy to the environment. I wish I knew him better. I wish I had more time with him. And I think we all kind of find ourselves in that situation that wishing we would have maybe inquired a little more. What what made you Jerome? And this joy that he exhibited in these later years, it was all about that. Everywhere he went, riding his bike, we'd see him downtown, we'd see him all around. There was nothing but joy. And I don't know, but his love for the Lord is what really brought that out. And he was so willing, so wonderfully willing to discuss that aspect, his heart for God. And he was always interested in you. What's going on with you? How are you doing? You look great today. And anyway, I miss him already, and it was a real blessing to have him as a neighbor and a friend of my folks and a friend of ours. So I thank you for that.
Can I add that? I'm gonna have to get up and talk.
This is Mama, by the way.
This is my son, and then my other son back there. I have 7 kids, and Jerome was interested in every one of them, and I have 29 grandchildren and 33 great-grandchildren. Jerome knew every one of them.
Kinda.
And he was always over there. He was a particular help with one of my grandchildren and his wife and their 3 kids that were supposed to be here. And I can't even begin to say how much he loved kids. And he was always over there to help me when I needed it. And when my husband died, 5 years ago, and Jerome was there with me every day for a while there.
Always checking in. Always checking in.
But I give him credit, a lot of credit, for this grandson and his wife, and that have come through so beautifully and are living such a wonderful life now. But thanks to Jerome and his dogs. I don't think I'd have had near the easy time of it that I did, thank goodness. But as Kenny can say, his help was immeasurable. That's all I can say. And I love it. Oh, incidentally, I I kept falling on my face. Jerome was there every time. Oh, you look beautiful.
It was rather funny. She had all black and blue on her face. She took the serious falls there, but he'd come by and still say how beautiful she was.
Then I fell 2 years ago and broke my knee.
He was there doing surgeon that as well.
Yeah. He taught me how.
He was great.
He had that in him. He just couldn't do that.
Mine's Donnell. I'm Dad's middle son, and I used to hate going places with him when I asking him for a ride somewhere when I was a kid, because when you're a kid, you want to protect your friends. You be in a hurry, you got places to go and things to do, and my dad would always run into someone and talk to him for 2 hours, 3 hours, and you ask him, well, where do you know him? Oh, I don't even know him. It bothered me so much as a kid, but as an adult, I realized how it is, and I find myself doing the same thing. It's just like, he just really valued people and wanted to know about them, and he really truly cared, was genuine about it. And that's one of the things that I really love about my dad. As an adult, I was able to build a stronger relationship with him than I was as a kid. I would try to keep a good relationship with him, come up and visit him every so often. And I know about 10 years ago, I came up here to visit him, and it was just me and him. And we try to find things to do. And he would ride his bike every day, and that was like a routine of his. And I wanted to go with him one day. I said, let's ride our bikes to Ashland. And he's like, are you sure? I was like, yeah. You say you do it, I could do it, He's like, are you sure you're gonna do it? I was like, if you could do it, I could do it, right? He's like, all right. So then he let me use one of his bikes, and we're riding on the green belt. I'm not sure how far we made it, but we made it not that far. We didn't hop back on the road yet. We were still on the greenway, and so we were pretty far away from Ashland still. And we had stretched a pretty long distance ahead of me because I was trying to keep up with him. And I realized that I wasn't gonna make this trip. And I know as far as I already went this way, I gotta come back this way. So I'm like, all right, this is so I was, Dad! He was way ahead of me. And he didn't wait for me. He wasn't trying to like coach with me. He wasn't trying to ride with me. He was trying to let me know like, no, you couldn't do this. So of course he turned around and came back and we rode to the house, and yeah, he definitely reminded me that day that how strong he is, and he was a strong dude, and all my friends said, your dad is so strong, and, oh, his hands are so big, your dad has the biggest hands. You know, thinking back, he's like a superhero. I miss him a lot. You know, I didn't talk to him every day. I would talk to him, but since he lived all the way up here, I would talk to him very rarely, you know, but whenever we talked to each other, it was, hey, son, I'm so proud of you. What are you up to? You know, you're working hard. And you just be proud of knowing the fact that you're working hard and taking care of yourself. And I miss him for that. I appreciate everyone coming out here and showing us how much you guys care about us too. But, you know, we do care about him as well.
We moved to the neighborhood about 5 years ago, and we hadn't even moved into our house yet. I was painting the cabinets out in front of the house, and he was pulling up on his bike with Lucky and the other dog. What was the other dog name? Ziggy, Lucky and Ziggy. And yeah, I met Jerome before I even moved into my house. He was like, who are you? Did you buy the house? We've been wondering who was going to get this place. And then over the course of the next 5 years, we just became such a great friend. You know, we made it through the fires that summer together, watching out for each other, helping each other with projects, always bringing me like tools that he found on the side of the road. But actually, you know, I've still got those tools, like, you know, so he was onto something. And, you know, I can say that the world lost the real one.
I never go before I cry. So, down a couple bullet points just so I hit some things. I guess people come into your life and it's the chapter you walk in on. So the chapter was after he had had a stroke, and he was in Las Vegas, and then Julie and I and arranged for him to come live with us and help him get through the rest of that healing. And you know, when he walked into our house, he looked like this old man. And I thought, oh my goodness. And I got to see a transformation in this man. And he went from that to, then he started walking, and then he walked further and further, and he'd take our dogs. We had 3 dogs at the time, and he really got attached to my dogs. And first he'd go out for an hour, then 2 hours, and 3, and I'm like, you know, maybe we should get him a watch. Well, that was just a joke. As much as it was a joke for Joey. And time was just insignificant. And so, but I loved the fact that, you know, the more it lifted his spirit, it got him healthier, he got off the medication, most of them. And it was just a beauty to see. He was with us for about a little under a year. And then at the time we owned the duplex that he lives in now. And that's where we were trying to get him to where he could live independently again. And we moved him into that duplex. And Jolie said, because he wanted to go to different thrift stores. Of course, Jerome wanted to go to the thrift store. And Jolie said, you know, I just want him for once in his life to have everything new. And so we went out and he had a new sofa, a new table, new silverware, and you know, we painted. And And there, he, he, he had such gratitude. You know, yes, everyone's saying it. The first thing he would have as a compliment, and he was so gracious. And well, and then his relationship with my dog, that was amazing. And then after he moved into the apartment, then, because he started walking, but he saw me biking everywhere. So he had moved in there, and then he said, well, I'm going to get a bike. He didn't even tell me that, actually. I just showed up and he had a bike. Of course, a thrift store bike. And I thought, oh goodness, I don't know his experience on a bike. I don't, but I had to let that go. He's a grown-ass man. And so I just said, well, the most important thing you can do, Jerome, is wear a helmet. I thought, and so he started riding that thing everywhere. And I'd see him on the bike path, and thank goodness I saw him, probably a week before he passed away, a few days. But after Jolie passed, I would go to Jerome to appointments and especially dentist appointments. And Jolie had that experience, she had a hard time with her dental chair as well. And so I got that, and I'd sit in that room with him and go to his appointments, and that he was just gracious to everyone. It didn't matter where he was. They couldn't wait to see him, and that's the Jerome I got to spend time with. And then when Jamar moved up here, and then the fires happened, but it allowed me to step away a bit, and then look how beautiful that was, that then he got to spend that time with his son. So it's I'm so grateful for that time, and that the joy and gratitude that kind of flows through him, through Jolie, through their family. So I'm blessed for him. Thank you.
My name is Brandon. I'm Jerome's brother. And like Kathy was saying, me and Jerome, we reconnected when Jolie and Kathy came to our home. I mean, I've been knowing him all my life, and he's a character. He was a character. He's seen a bicycle he wanted at my house, so he taught me, and then I brought it back up here to him. And I'm not a good person talking like crowd, but I'm gonna miss you, Jerome. I'm gonna miss you. I'm not gonna say goodbye because I'm gonna see you another time. Another side. I see how loved he is. Y'all to see y'all here, and I appreciate everybody here for him and his boys and myself. But yeah, I love you, Jerome. I'm gonna miss you, man. And every time I come to Seattle, I always stop and see him. Last time I stopped, his son he came to the door. I said, man, what's wrong at? Well, he wouldn't walk the door. I said, all right, I'll tell him I'll be back through. And I hate it. I didn't, on the way back, I didn't stop. You know what I mean? Then I got that bad news. So, but yeah, I'm gonna miss him. And and I see how loved he is. So he's well loved. You know what I mean? And I appreciate it for me that all y'all came to celebrate his leaving. And yeah. So this ain't goodbye, brother. I'll see you on the other side.
Amen.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna lighten things up a little bit. So I moved here 5 years ago, moved to Medford, and I lived kind of in the same neighborhood with Jerome and Jamar, and I would walk to the library, and this is before I met you, Jamar, and there's this really handsome black man on a bicycle, and I'm like, oh, I need to meet this person. And so I would walk by and I'd see him and we'd start saying hello to each other, and just the sweetest guy. It just was like, oh my goodness. excited about that. And then a year or so after that, Jamar and I met, and when he showed me where he lived, I was like, oh man, two really handsome black men. And they both ride bicycles. And they both love to garden. So what I would like you all to do for a moment is just look at where we are. It's my passion, it's Jamar's passion. It was Jerome's passion. It's heaven on earth. This is just such a beautiful spot, and it's because of his spirit and his energy is here, and that's why we're here today. So this morning I walked over here because I just wanted to have a minute of quiet, and thinking about him, and I'm walking along, and I'm like, there's this person moving out of the house, and there's all this free stuff. And I was like, oh, thank you, Jerome. I took all this stuff home. And did we share in that passion? Like this is Jerome.
Bring it.
What a treat. What a blessing to have met this fine people. And Jamar, I want to tell you, so proud of you. He would say, I mean, I come all the time, and he'd just be like, you are looking good. Yeah. And I was like, I think he was a flirt. I thought I was the only one he said that to. So he would say, Jamar is just amazing. Like, he's working full time and he's doing this garden, and then Jamar and I put together a community garden that I now manage, and that was, I mean, he was so proud of everything that you did. And when my parents passed, I wish somebody had said that to me, and you guys should know that he was all about all of you, his whole family. Okay. I'm going to talk before I really start crying. I'm Robin, and Jerome's brother Jolie was my mother for 29 years, and before she left on that trip, she said to me, hey, check in on Jerome while I'm gone. You know, never knew at that time that she would come back. And loved on each other. Wanted to stop and say hi to, you want to hear what he had to say, but he was also very deep, much deeper than probably a lot of you realize or know. And my late husband, 2009, I think it was, Jerome had, by that time, was living in the duplex, and I remember him every day passing out peanut butter and jelly sandwiches to anybody that wanted one, and just having conversation with people. And we would often give away clothes, and he just had a way of talking to people and listening to them and being present with them, no matter what they were going through. He wouldn't offer anything in his life. He just listened to them, and he would just care about them. And I literally saw him take the shirt off his back and give it to a homeless man. And he had that compassion for humanity that has become increasingly rare in our world today. Jerome loved people, he loved the Lord, and he loved his family, he loved his community. And I'm telling you, he was a fun man. And
I would just always remember one thing about Jerome is he loved his food. And he loved my cooking. I call and say, well, Jerome, do you want to come over and eat with Derek and I, or can I swing you by some food? Well, yeah, I feel like coming over, but if you're swinging by, well, what do you feel like eating? Well, you know, Robin, I like all your cooking. Anything you make is good, but your lasagna is just my favorite. So I run over with lasagna. Oh, Jerome, what can I bring you to eat? Oh, you know, I like anything you bake, Robin. But boy, your chicken birdie and tomatoes, they're so good. And he was a lot of comfort to me. When my husband was very sick, he was one of the many people, along with Kathy and Jolie, that would give me a little break to get out of the house, and he'd sit with Derek. And how do I say, before I walked out the house, hey, Jerome, you guys don't get into any trouble. Do I say, well, none you're going to know about. So I just when I heard of his passing, I just had this beautiful vision of him being greeted by Jolie and by Derek in heaven, and just the rejoicing of them being together. And I loved him very much. Thank you.
Like, I'm gonna say this, guys. I live in Seattle, Washington, and then my wife drove down here, so I love meeting all you guys, but I'm gonna leave because I'm an old man now. I can't like to drive at night. And a lot of you guys, I see got a lot of gray hair running. Y'all understand what I'm talking about? We're gonna get some up out of here, guys, and I hope y'all blessed.
Eat one of these, though.
Oh no, I'm fine.
Oh, no.
I'm a diabetic.
Oh, no. Yeah.
I thank you anyway, but yeah, we got to hit the highway, guys. And y'all stay blessed.
Drive safe.
Love y'all.
Safe journey.
Well, my name is Cynthia, and I tend to be pretty emotional these days, but I knew Jerome years ago when the kids were small, and in Victorville, and then we moved to Oregon, and so I've known Jerome for a bit. When Jolie passed, it's interesting. She went around. She called a lot of people and said, check up on Sheila, check up on Jerome. She just made calls to everybody, and I got one of those calls too, and to check on the house and Sheila, and so it was like Jolie knew, and so when she passed, she was helping out Jerome and Kathy, and when she passed, she came to me. I heard her when she said to me, Cynthia, I need you to step up to the plate and help Jerome, take care of Jerome. And okay, we got to do that. And so I was his representative payee, helped him pay his bills and stuff, so he didn't have to worry about that. And I thought I was the only one that he always gave these compliments to. I was looking forward to seeing him, okay? And every time I'd come, I looked younger and better. He was just so happy and such gratitude in everything I did. He just was so grateful. And it's true, the smile he always had on his face, and his attitude, and he loved life. He certainly loved life. I moved to Portland, and he helped me move. And
Several times.
okay, so he helped me move several times. But then he had his limits, you know. So
when we went to Portland, my friend Susan's daughter met Jerome, and they took off and went to sites in Portland, and they had a good time. And when she heard about Jerome passing, she sent me a message right away, and I want to read that. And it was from Victoria. And it was quite beautiful, and maybe he was just there a week, but a week or so. But this is from Victoria. She said, "My condolences go out to you and the family, and then the rest of Jerome's family and friends. He is a kind, gentle soul. He was so sweet, kind, loving, compassionate, empathetic, fun, and funny. The kind of man that would give you the shirt off his back." And that's so true. I believe he is in the light now and feeling bliss. The rest of us in our bodies feeling sorrow will miss him. His beautiful face and the joy he brought to our hearts until each of our own time that we go into the light and we will meet again. He left a strong impact on me just with the little time that we shared. I would think of him often and would wonder how amazing he was and how positive, and the positivity in the way that he could see the world under challenging circumstances. He blew my mind. He helped me try to see things the way he did. Thank you, Jerome, for being love, bringing joy, happiness into my heart, and for helping me look through different lenses without even knowing you were doing it. You are loved. You will be missed until we meet again in peace and love and strength. And that was Victoria. And they were together just a couple of weeks. And then Susan also sent me a message, and she asked me to read it. This is for Jerome. Jerome was always willing to help. No task was too much. He helped Cynthia and I moldify. We moved to a house and found out there was mold. And I was working, and Victoria, Jerome, and Susan put on masks, all this heavy gear, and they cleaned everything. And they cleaned every book, every shoe, every piece of furniture with a fine-tooth comb. He was a godsend. Granted, he started having more boundaries after that. Jerome had an infectious smile, bountiful belly laugh, and helping hand. He was so quick to express his love, his appreciation, and his compassion for others. Love you, Jerome. And that's from Susan. It's been an honor to be in Jerome's life, and I too have grown so much because of his positive attitude and his love for everyone and his love for me. It's just been amazing, and it's a true loss, and I am certainly going to miss all his compliments and his smile. So thank you all for being here. Really appreciate it.
I want to say a few words about Jerome. I've known him probably about 3 years, and I'm one of the many people who work at picnic parties. And every time we saw him, he was always smiling, very, very positive. We shoot the breeze, and out of the blue, sometimes he will just give you a hug. And there's this couple, Kent and Michelle and Nancy, Bernice, Dee, and Sally. We are
walk at the park. But anyways, what you said about your dad, that sometimes we go through very, very difficult things in our lives. And it's overwhelming sometimes. And, this actually made me remember, and we're still going through things. But anyways, when you forget about yourself, and then you count your blessings, and then see other people, just like my sweet Cheryl when she was still here, she passed in 2022. And you always, find a way to smile again and keep going. But anyways, that's actually part of my philosophy in life, if you would, to always think about, things that you can do for others, and then you forget about yourself. And then everything, I don't know. What you said, that just, man, that's so true. But anyways, every time we saw him, we had to shoot the breeze, and he was always smiling, and out of the blue, he gave you a hug. That's all.
I wanted to say one more thing. Jerome was lifting weights for a while, and he was riding his bike quite a bit. And every time I'd see him, he was like, I'm doing better now, Cynthia. I am buff, And he told me he went to some garden to pick plums, some type of fruit, And he said, there was this woman that was just watching me. And I said, really? Did you know her? He said, no. But she came over and asked me to take my shirt off while I picked the plums. he said, can you imagine that? I said, well, yeah, maybe. He was buff. At that time, he was buff.
That's funny.
Yeah. I never forget the race.
I gotta say, because I only knew Jerome for a very short period, but he was such a big inspiration in that short amount of time. And as everybody said, he's a real character. He is what people try to write stories about. But he was actually real. And somebody that I could tell my family about. Because there's a lot of people that, I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm a little sensitive lately. Yeah, a lot of my family seems to not be at that point, and they don't believe that they can get through that and be like as strong as him. And so I was able to share that inspiration with my own family. If I may, love is what brings us together. Love is what creates things. And he showed us how to always love. And that is how we build the world. That's why this is here. It's impossible to do with one person. I've seen people try.
I hear ya.
And he'd always be in here, and I'm like trying to help him, and sometimes because he's older, but not even because. And he's like, no, I need this. He knew what he was doing. He knew what he was doing to himself, what he was creating for himself, and it was just beautiful. And that's all I have to say.
Yeah, for anyone who doesn't know, the reason why we're doing it here is because my dad put an enormous amount of energy into this garden. He was very passionate about the space. And I couldn't imagine it doing it anywhere else because his blood and sweat is here. You know what I mean? A lot of his energy is here. So.
And a lot of the stuff we picked up on the side of the road.
You did a good job.
Yeah.
Very nice.
like to say anything at all?
I'll say a little something. Just to introduce myself, I'm Jermaine, and this is Mark, my husband, my son Bez, and my mom. We used to live on Holly Street, about two familiar faces, 2 doors down from Jerome. I can't remember when he moved in, but I remember him introducing himself, and he became a regular visitor to our front porch. And when my son was little, he'd sit on the front porch with Bez and talk to him. I have fond memories of that. And I'm a gardener myself, and he'd always come and ask me what I was putting into the garden, or ask me for advice when he was trying to deal with some little space behind his place that was in the shade. And funny thing, we hadn't seen him in a while since we had moved from the neighborhood, and he just kind of popped in our head, and we went by his house to invite him to the Bass Comedy Jam at the Holly Theater. And my son went out and went to the door, and we learned he had passed 3 days before. So just how those things sort of work sometimes. Somebody pops in your head, right?
So, you live on Holly?
Yes, I met you, Pat, many years ago.
I'm hearing all these people that live on Holly. I've been there 55 years. In that same house.
We lived there how many years?
2005, about 2019.
Yeah.
And Jerome never brought you down or nothing.
Sure, throwing him under the bus.
Yeah.
I just lived walking people go by all the time, and they walk their dogs, and if I get a chance and if I'm up to it, I'll run out in the front porch. I'll walk out on the front porch.
Oh. That's
There
when I
always
saw
is.
you, was out on the front
Try to
porch.
stop people.
Or you were usually watering your rhododendrons. That's your flower out there. Yeah, I remember that.
the house you live in. Okay, I'll walk on that side.
Yeah.
I was gonna say real quick, Jerome often would come over and he wouldn't even stop at the front. He'd go through the side gate to go out and just sit in my backyard for a few minutes. 'Cause I have a beautiful backyard with all, of course, it needs a lot of care, which I don't have, aren't able to much anymore. But he would come back there and just sit, and then he would go over and knock on my dining room window like this, that he was there and he was leaving.
Yes, he was. He did like to spend time in the neighborhood and knew everybody.
Especially loved Gardan, so.
Yes, he did. Thank you.
I'll just add a little bit to that. I started cleaning the back alley when I lived there, and Jerome saw me, and then he started cleaning the back alley, and then for like the next 3 years, I had to go out and help him because he was always out there weeds and stuff, and I felt bad. So I was like, Jerome's out there again. I got to go work in the alley.
Jerome got around.
Can you believe what an impact he's had? All these people that love him.
I guess I come up
so
and
cute.
I guess I'll say something from my official role in another role. So I small beautiful people, and I realized to the depths of really, I mean, I knew him, but I see now that what he's really left with each and every one of them that has spoken, and the fact that he's actually here. See, Jerome, we were married for about 16 years. We have 3 sons, and then my stepdaughter, Amy. But when I met Jerome, I heard somebody say he's a godsend, and that's exactly what he was to me, a godsend. The very moment that I needed him, he showed up. See? And I had met him only just a month before, but a very short conversation. I had just been sent to a new job position, and he came in on a bike. He said, "Oh, you're new in town." I said, "Yeah." Same greetings you all got. So,
Yeah.
so I said, yeah. And I stuck around about 5 minutes and left, and I didn't see him again for another month. And that month, the day when he showed up was the day I knew I tell my kids God sent him. He actually was sent. And so we got together and we remained married for about 16 years, but we're always hearing. But this is who Jerome really was. Every one of you. I'm not going to say this specific to the children. They listen here. They've been hurt. Somewhere he lost his way. See, it didn't go smoothly even in the marriage of the children. I'm saying it. Sorry. So, but when I listen to all of this, he found his way back. See, I wish it's a blessing. It's truly a blessing, a very good thing. And I want the kids to really hear this because I mean, you listen to all of this. My son is hurting. My daughter is hurting over there. You know, so because they didn't really get to spend the time, all the beautiful things that you about him. See, so I wanted to know that he really was, and he's still a beautiful person for what he's left here. So please, thank you guys for being here and sharing and helping them to move on. You know that he really wasn't really what they may have gotten to learn him as, but this is who he really is. See, so thank you guys for sharing. So I want to share my one joke about him. So. You know, as a parent and mother in the morning, sometimes you need some milk and you need to send the kids off to school and you need some milk real fast or something. Go run to the store. Take 5 minutes, right? Jerome is all 30 minutes, an hour just to get the one item. So why you went so long? And after a while, I got the new wife. Everybody he met, the child, the eldest person he met, he made a conversation with them, and when he was finished, he knew everything he could possibly know about those person. This is why we're here.
But I don't know Jerome at all on a personal level. I met him maybe 3, 4, 5 months ago, but he was definitely a light in Theo's world. Theo would get excited to go to the garden. Like, is Mr. Jerome going to be there? Mr. Jamar? Like, and if he saw them, like, he's like attached to me and my wife, like all the time. But like, you could just let him loose, and he'd just follow them around and just find a project to do, and you know, he'd be willing to do it. And I wasn't even there to experience a lot of it. It's mostly through my wife, but one of the things that she said is they had a way of kind of like talking at each other because he's a little hard of hearing, and then Theo can be a little hard to understand too. So just kind of like be talking at each other, but they still manage to, you know, make it work through all of that. There's definitely a relationship there. And I just echo what everybody else has said. Like, I never saw him upset. He was always joyful. He was always ready to work too. Like if he saw me doing anything, he'd be like, "Oh, what do you need help with?" And I wasn't even really doing anything. I was just like moving something, but he was always ready. And I would have loved to get to know him on a personal level, but I just don't think there would have been an opportunity because he's just always doing something. Yeah, it's really nice getting to know him through all of you. I just see, yeah, in the short time I knew him, everything that you guys were saying, like, I saw that. And so I appreciate what he was able to do for him. You want to say something to you? Yeah, you can speak up. Be loud. If you don't feel like it, though. Thank you.
As you know, you met my name is Rebecca. This is my mother-in-law, my husband Ken, my brother-in-law Steve. And something's been put in my heart sitting there. First of all, whenever you would see Jerome, how you doing, Jerome? Blessed, beyond blessed. And he truly was a light. And he was a servant. He was truly a servant to everybody around him. What was put in my heart during this time, and it was something you said, it's like, okay, Lord, do I speak it? And for each one of his children,
that, you all are speaking and you just confirmed that not being able to have that relationship as you're younger, and it's been broken. But one thing we know that as parents, we don't always do things right in our younger years, and we make mistakes. And sometimes those relationships become broken. But the fact that you guys each got an opportunity to have reconciliation, and that, I guess what I want to say is that is a gift from the Lord. That He got to give each one of you guys that time, whether it was one visit, 3 years, a couple of years, whatever it was. You've got to be able to have that time with your Father and to just cherish it. Look back at all the things that trying to figure out what went wrong or anything like that. What really counts is in the end, the time that you've had. And so just hold on to that. And I just encourage you guys to do that because that's so important. We see the events of the world, and there's so much brokenness in this world. And it's by the love of the Lord that He gives us those opportunities to reconcile, because that's what He desires in His children and in this world. That's what He has offered. We all have the opportunity to give. And just hold on to it, cherish it, hold it precious to you. Because sometimes we can go, and then as many have said, upon, he was brought to your thoughts about, stopping and seeing and then you learn of his passing, you don't get that opportunity to say, I love you, thank you, and all those things. So when those times happen, we always often say it's the Holy Spirit speaking. And that Holy Spirit is, causing you to, He's putting that person on your heart and your mind to be able to reach out and call and talk to them. We don't know when the next time we're going to be able to see them, or if there is a next time. But I just want to say that to the family. That was specifically for you guys. Because the Lord loves you guys. And this was a gift that you guys were given. And then just hold on to it and treasure it. And don't have any hard feelings, but to just let it go and appreciate what was being given in the end. And I know that knowing Jerome and Elise somewhat as being a neighbor and just always joyous, always smiling, always lifting up, he's probably, as you guys all testified today, he was a different man today than he was back then. And then we all have that opportunity, and I'm sure that he did. He made amends with his Lord, with our Lord and Jesus Christ Savior, and that he repented, and in that he changed, and in that he was able to love everybody around him. And I would say the same for you guys. Jesus loves you guys, and he offers this to all of us. So just hold on to that. And my heart does break for you guys, because I know, as coming from a broken family, I know what that feels like. And never being able to make amends to my father with him because he didn't choose to before he passed away. And that just leaves a hole. It leaves a hole. But you guys got that opportunity, that hole to be filled now with that love that was left. So,
Rebecca, what fits it? The old song, Amazing Grace. That was him.
Amen. So I appreciate you guys letting me say that, but that was just something the Lord put on my heart.
Thanks for the background.
Maybe we all could sing Amazing Grace. Let's sing Amazing Grace. Come on, let's go.
Let's do it.
Whichever version, it doesn't matter.
Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, and now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see.
That's grace.
Grace that brought my
Just do one part.
Let's start it out, and if we don't know it, we'll just kind of.
That's fine. He's living his life in here.
Once my sheriff showed up, we were taking pictures, me and my brother and my sister. And someone said, "Oh, yes, let's get a picture of the 6 kids." So we all. So we should get his dog in it too. That's his son too.
Yeah.
Ben's right here. And Jamar was like, "Lucky, come on, get in this picture. Lucky, get in the picture." And he's like, Jamar's like, "Oh, he's not. He does his own thing. Listen, he's off. It's all right." So we took a bunch of pictures, and And after we were done taking the pictures, Lucky was still under the bench, and we're like, well, let's see if we can get him to at least take a picture next to his picture. So we came out from under the bench and we took a picture next to one of his dad's pictures. And then we started reviewing the pictures. I started looking at the pictures, and I saw that all the pictures he had snuck out from under the bed, under the bench, got in the pictures, posed in the pictures, and came back. And Lucky got in the pictures. Just so they believe, no, he didn't. He was under the bench. Like, no, look, he's in the picture. That was probably my dad telling him, you get in the picture.
You know, when your dad passed and I arrived at the house and I was there a few days and Lucky was grieving. He did not go walk. He would go out and do his thing and he'd come back and just lay there. And nobody could get him to walk or do anything. And I said, you know, our spirit animals are so attached to us and they just so know, and I had not seen the dog grieve like that, but it was very obvious. You couldn't get anybody to get what he made for a while. Took a picture of it.
Totally up close.
You know, I put that food on the other table and then we'll just
Is it in the sun?
No, it's actually in the okay. Shade now. Okay.
Matthew. George, nice to meet you. And thanks for all that.
Bring out we have dessert on that table.
Their mom would say
a couple of different versions and I got it right. I mean, we could still continue to sing.
Move it over.
It's okay. There's plenty of
You know what's embarrassing is that I'm a professional singer. And I couldn't remember the words.
So George? Ken. Review's quite a bit.
Good to see you.
Oh, yes,
He's been sitting here, he was taking the live photo. Oh, here, did I hug him here? I don't know if he was a baby or not.
Because he was out here when we were old.
And then I heard who's playing next door everywhere.
Not
like the one that's always
There's ginger ale and this jug over here.
you get a slightly feeling. It's not that good, but that's what I'm showing.
I know that he was very proud of his kids.
And then we have a around that table.
He was a man that always
So I'm a little tougher on me, so I didn't really get like that.
I'm in a mess.
Thank you for
Gloria wanted to be this.
Yeah.
So I kind of got the tough feelings. You know, a lot of my family's like that.
Like apologize. Still haven't painted the house. I'm gonna raise the funds to paint the house.
Yeah, two grandkids. I was going into that relationship, but it's started down there. It's hard to come out here. Expensive for all of us to come out here. It's really hard to get them.
No, I did.
That's okay.
You know, we learn, like you said, you know, trying to make that happen. Sometimes it's very difficult. We do our very best.
Yeah.
But one of the things we can convey for sure is our love for them, regardless of whether we see face to to face in person physically. You know, and that really does make a difference. We have kids on the East Coast that we see once a year, and it's so hard, right? Because, you know, it's not really affordable and such. But I know that every time, and I think that this is what I want to say, is that when you genuinely share your love for them, you're genuinely going to know it. And if it's not that at some point, you just don't stop sharing that and saying those things. And then you just do the best you can. One of the things that we're a blended family, and so there's a lot of brokenness with the kids, and they each have their perspective of growing up, and because they each have different situations. And one of the things that we can acknowledge is that as parents, they recognize I did the best I could as a parent with the tools that we have, right? And that's for each one of us, our children too, and that goes forward too. But what we do is we don't put love aside. We just keep loving them. And I don't know where you are with your faith and your belief, but I'll tell you, prayer is everything. It's very powerful. And the Lord covers that. And so I believe He has. It's just, it's you know, mend the gaps and the brokenness where there's at least conversation and, you know, and it takes time, you know, because they have to come to terms letting go in the past. You know, we have to let go. We have to forgive ourselves, right? Yeah.
As men, we have a tendency to follow things up and muscle our way through it and not really do it.
You really didn't hit me until after it happened.
And we tried along the way. I mean, we tried. But we just, the two of us,
Now, where do you live?
we couldn't find that little magic, that little, but it was fun.
We don't visit that.
It wasn't that I didn't love
Not
him, I
in the
just,
past.
when we it was stressful for
Can we
him.
pray for you?
We're both trying to find a way
And you're with your family here.
we just
Are they here
couldn't.
with you?
And it was fun.
Just your brother?
It was nothing against,
Yeah, I just
right,
wanted to-
and I was not easy.
You're doing
Like, I
mighty
wasn't
work here,
the child
certainly,
when,
as we celebrate
girl, you
Jerome.
had these glasses
But
on,
there's
you
so many things.
you
that
were
happen,
young,
so
you
many
were
things
reading.
happen,
That's
so
how you
pray for
read
other
and
people.
read. You
Peace in the days
I was
ahead.
tough on him
And
since
that
I
you
was a
would
little
bring
girl.
calm and comfort to
I
us hearts and
always
souls.
they would never find it.
Again, you would need him, and where
I wanted him to
we
have
in the flesh have a tendency to fall short.
I think he did. And that's exactly, exactly.
Lord, you are a
I just
Father, they
wanted
never
him,
leave,
and I'm so
they never forsake us, and I pray that you would lean into that in these
that
days
sounds
ahead,
just
and that you would remember
not
those
connected.
times.
I know that sounds weird,
Remember
but
these
it's
stories
not.
that Jerome came around.
Not that we didn't have hard feelings. I didn't have hard feelings towards him. I didn't
And that
like.
feeling of it all was, so
It was
ask him
just
to bless
kind
him
of like
and give him
was
peace
what it
and
was.
comfort in the days ahead, and in the
Right.
process.
I love my and I used to always say that. I love from a distance. Right. And you know, and having Jamar there and having you there, like it made it so much easier for me.
How long will it be?
I'm always so thankful for that. I talked to Jamar. I hadn't talked to Jamar in 2 years. And I, you know, having talking to Jamar, I was able to like, he's okay, he's happy, you know, Gardan, life.
We were blessed with him, and like I said, it was very difficult to be around the guy without smiling. Yes, exactly. Yeah, when my dad passed away, it was 75 years of taking him every day, and the conversations that I yearned for. I had questions for him every day. And I give him the Lord, and the Lord gives me comfort in that.
I was very, very nervous.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it. Because if we will, in fact, you get it, and you feel that pain, that makes
Yeah, I've got something to eat. Thank you.
Uh-oh.
What happened?
Hey, I didn't
Anything
give
here?
you a big hug.